Welcome to another episode of Don't Judge the Book by the author. Today I have a special guest, a special person, special spirit having a human experience, known as many things in his community. Advocate, leader, father figure, mental health farmer is the name for him, but also a mental coach. Deals with psychology, a lot of studies and research in therapy, and yeah, today we're here to talk about his books, but none other than the well-known, profound mental farmer, Lyndon. Welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you.
Greetings and thank you for such a wonderful introduction.
Could have said a lot more. I'm just freestyling.
You could have said Dr. Deep as well, but never mind.
Dr. Deep.
Never mind. You've done great for me. Thank you so much.
Mental farmer. No, seriously, it's a pleasure having you here today because we got our story. I'm not going to get into that, but we got our story, and sure some of it will come out as we talk. But yeah, just as an author, just want to commend you for writing the book you've written. I'm going to get into that later on, but I wanted to bring you on this platform because of your love for books, your great creative, what's the word I'm looking for, vision in writing books. There's a lot of books that I've even had in my head that I felt like, yo, Lynn could write this book. I've shared it with you. Some of your sayings, sometimes you tell me stories over the phone, you reason, and I think, nah, Lynn, that's a Caribbean saying that can be kind of put into a book, not even a saying, a Caribbean story or analogy that you could transform into a book, something that your late mother might have taught you, your late father might have taught you, and I'm like, wow, they bestowed a lot of wisdom upon you. They definitely were storytellers. So yeah, just a pleasure to have you here, and I'm just going to get into it straight away by asking you what inspired you to write, and what makes you the writer you are today.
The inspiration for me is my mom. As you know, two different characters. My father was more of a disciplinarian type person. My mother too, but she was very sort of reticent, relaxed. And I think I've got most of that from her.
Yeah.
I've got from my father the disciplinarian. You have to be disciplined. You walk, you put one foot in front of the other kind of thing. My mother would say, you walk how you walk, son. And that would make me feel better because if my right foot went first, I'm not a soldier, you see. But yeah, from my mother really was the one that...
At what age was writing?
Ooh, I can remember far back as 3 when I started, when I started to learn. In Jamaica, that was a standard thing.
Yeah.
The children of 7 years old would be tasked to teach the 3-year-olds.
Okay.
And you started off with stories.
Yeah.
So a spoken story is still a story.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying? So we got that.
Yeah.
They would tell us a lovely story, and then they would say, okay, under the tree, because there's no building. It's just under the tree, in the shade.
What years is this?
3 years old to 4 years old.
No, I mean in terms of
1951 to 52.
In the 50s, it was that. So telling stories in Jamaica in the 50s was a standard thing.
Easy, family thing, all around Jamaica. The 14 passions.
Because there's probably some stereotypes about where we come from in terms of that not being a standard thing. So I just wanted to...
Well, no, we most of our parents and grandparents were Garveyites. So we got all of that teaching since we were young. Yeah, and you had to read for yourself. Not just, oh, so-and-so has told you. You can read now, so you read there. If there's any word you don't understand, that's fine.
So was, in a lot of households growing up, people feel like reading was a form of punishment, like guys I grew up with. Was it like that back in the 50s?
No, let me stop you there.
No, was it like that in the 50s in
question.
Jamaica? I'm asking.
But it was because the majority of adults themselves were illiterate.
Okay.
They didn't want their children
To
or
be-
family, younger
It's a
ones.
shame and embarrassment.
It's a shame and embarrassment, and it's an opportunity to represent the family.
Mm-hmm.
A bright little boy, a bright little girl, and children, as you know, you've got children yourself, they're very bright. And our parents, some of them, I can't say all of them, I can only speak about my parents and some that I've observed in the community, were very, very astute in listening to children. If we saw something together, say we saw a bird, and the adult said, oh, that's a pretty bird. What do you think? Encouraging you to comment.
Okay.
And so that's where it all came from.
So growing up in Jamaica definitely influenced you into
Oh,
becoming
yes.
a writer as well as
Oh yes.
in the 50s. Would you say that's Jamaica of today in terms of the...
The truth is I don't know Jamaica today. I don't recognize
Okay.
Jamaica today. For all the things I've been reading about it and stuff and hearing and all of this stuff, I don't recognize it.
In terms of literacy, I don't want to get to it because I know I think about it and it can be emotional to think about the state of violence and
Yeah.
corruption. But that aside, in terms of the reading, do you think that culture still continue?
Yeah.
You do? Well, that's
Yes.
good to hear. That's good
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good to hear. So tell me some of your favourite authors. Give me a few of your favourite authors.
I don't have many.
Serious?
No, because I don't want what they write to influence me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kept the discipline of not reading many books. It may be something to do with health, research, psychologically, all of that.
Study
yes,
research.
I'm there. But to read somebody else's book, like yours, of course, I was interested to read what you've written. And you always shared with me anyway, so I couldn't wait for the actual book, so somebody like
unless
yourself.
you said that to me, I would have assumed you was a person just reading like books. Or
I read a lot of books, but they were really technical books and scientific books, physics, chemistry, plant biology, human biology, mechanics, hydrostatics. I could name you.
Please name some more.
Yeah, well, I went to a grammar school, so
Okay.
I was tasked to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot of
There's even animal psychology, which we didn't get a lot of that, but we did get some of it.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you went to grammar school, where is that, in Jamaica? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The top grammar school.
Okay.
The very, very top is one that everyone wanted to put down as their first choice.
So would you say that helped you to become the writer you are today?
Oh yeah.
And why would you say, for those who wouldn't
Well,
understand?
can I just start from when all the writing started?
Please.
At 3 years old we started to learn times tables. And you had to know, it was taught a little bit at a time. So you would be told, right, so today you learn your 2 and 3 times table. That's it. And so small but safe. And you went up to 12 times table. If you didn't know your up to 12 times table when you were 3 years old, it would probably be a disgrace to your family. That's how much they inserted the necessity for learning. And so what we also had, we didn't know what a radio was. Never seen a radio, never heard of a radio. Never knew, obviously not television. So we had to find different ways in our communities. And Trenchtown was no different. What we had was learn to act, sing and dance. Boom. So every yard,
Act, sing and dance.
yeah, every yard would have a turn one day in the week to sponsor, put on the food and everything for all the people who are coming to act, whether they're adults or children. So it was a big family thing. The community was the family. The community was the village. So since I was, if I remember, 4 years old, I recited a poem Wasn't a long one, but that's what we were trained to do. So you had to read it in order to learn it. You had to retain it in order to perform it. So you can see in everywhere there was a link.
Yeah.
There was a bridge to where we got to.
Cool. So you went to grammar school in Jamaica in the 50s, 60s, I'm guessing?
I went to grammar school in 1960.
66.
Because I was born in November, secondary school was from 12 years old.
Okay, so 60s.
Because it's after September, which is the
Yeah.
the British standard, which is still being kept until today.
Cool. So what made you want to write a book? And,
Well,
have you always wanted to be a writer?
I've always written. I was always written because my mom she did everything. She was teaching me that everybody is a psychic, blah, blah, blah. But she'd also teach me that everyone, has a poem or something within them. And she used to just sing it. She could sing, right? So she would be singing this thing, or she'd be repeating this thing while she's washing the clothes, while she's cooking the dinner, lunch. We made our own syrup. Everybody in Jamaica then. So we'd get like an oil tin about that high and about that wide. We'd make our own syrup. And so there would also be some kind of poem about the making of a syrup or a pudding or something. And of course, when I was younger, I had loads of books to read, and I was always into reading, whether it was one of these stupid things about Jack and Jill went up the hill and all of this stuff. But it's something that it was repetitive. It taught me a way of learning things. I would sort of sing what I've read to myself. I'm having my little bath or running around the yard chatting to my friends. So we've always been encouraged to read and write. Learn to read and write, son, because otherwise you're not getting anywhere. So you had that driven into us, all of us. There was no exception.
Cool.
And my mom, she always say, my dad is always traveling because he's like the pioneer. So he had always traveling. He went and did some harbor jobs and stuff, just to get some dollars, especially from America, to send down to help supplement what we had. We had our own food. We had chickens, goats, what have you. So we could live. And we had a little shop that provided food for people, which my mother ran.
So before I ask you before I ask you what your book's about, I want to ask you what inspired you to write the book. Lyndon,
Great question, and I'm happy to share this with you. My inspiration was via my intuition. So I could be asleep, Rob, and you think you're dreaming, but then you had to get up and either write something down, a little note, or in the next time when you were awake. You don't want to talk to anybody before you write down what came into your head. And people find it strange, because I've done interviews before abroad, especially in America back in 2016, and the man asked me the same thing, or what inspired you to write the book, and I said, well, I didn't actually write it. All I did was report what was going into my head. And that's exactly how that book came about.
That's powerful. Cool, so tell us what your book's about then.
Wow.
Before you even start, let me let people know the title of this book. The Taste the Champagne Urge. It's a very thick book. And I love the cover. But you wanted to say something about the book before I read out the back. Or shall I read the back first?
Read the back first, please. Yeah.
Cool. This book is a representation of the magic of how thoughts can formulate imagery, which seems so real to life. Its novelty has kept me intrigued by its potentially to be so utterly controversial, laid with suspense, is summarily thrilling whilst tugging at a suspense of adventure. Most of all, it releases its action-packed intensity upon its audience. There was never a slavish dedication to write the book, but instead moments of inspiring urges to write that which I did chronicle while it was manifesting. Such was the ferocity with which the various emotional sensitive argument angles and perspectives kept appearing. Every single word had come from my imagination, as you said. Only and so all I could do is bear testament to its boundless compelling influence in order to highlight the importance of empathy. Individuals are able to choose not to think about feeling the pain of every single character who became victims probably. With over 190 characters involved, it might be an underestimation to call this a book. Perhaps it's a literary docudrama movie made up of fictional virtual reality scenarios. The roles of each character is designed to fit particular models. I wanted to establish the fact that influential characters like Darryl
Fast for Mouse,
Professor Frank Outstein, and Al Tuxedo were overwhelmingly, deliberately, wholly insensitive altogether. They brought about very powerful experiences for those who were affected by their actions. Their behaviors reinforced the philosophy of the primed mind mentality, but brings new meaning to exploring what makes up relationships. The Taste of Champagne Urge offers several opportunities for an audience to sense some awe-inspiring intrigue and highlighting some topical issues, familiar environments, some bizarre events, and devious mindsets by those whom strove to tilt the balance in their own favor, seemingly. The Taste of Champagne Urge. So heavy it nearly broke my wrist. Yeah.
576 pages.
So before you even talk, I'm going to let the people know, for someone who's not from a background of reading books per se by once, or even known to complete reading books until within the last 10 years. This book has been a struggle for me because of our reasons, you know that. I probably never shared publicly because I don't talk about my, yeah. But, however, good book for what I read and what I could retain. Because I have to say retain, because there is a lot going on in the early parts for me, which, because it's written, not parables, it's like The Matrix, if that makes sense. So it's written in a style where you have to be able to understand that a character represents something. And for me, you need to be by yourself reading that book. If I remember where I started reading that book and I got a few chapters in, I definitely was in London Fields Park in the summer. And I thought it was going to be a quiet day. And then there was like a barbecue and everything came and I saw people and I got distracted. And I remember thinking, but it was hard to read in the park. I need to be in, not solidarity, I need to be by myself, but in a peaceful place. But powerful book. Do you want to tell people about the book? About the book yourself?
Well, I'm grateful to you first of all for reading any of the book, because the font isn't the fonts I chose. The first thing I need to say is, when I submitted the manuscript, it was meant to be done in 12 font, you know, in a more easy reading font.
Yeah.
But somebody changed it at the last minute without me knowing.
Okay.
And I was so keen to have the book out, I didn't bother to say anything. But the book itself, people asked me how long it took and all of this kind of stuff, and when I told them I couldn't tell them how long it took, they kind of look at me like, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm saying to them, but I do not, have any control over my intuition. It comes when it comes. And they just can't see it, even now they can't see it. But that's what really happened. So something would come and I'd type it out. Wasn't in chapters yet. Just writing. And then Andrea, my queen, and my daughter, Melanie, they like every day they come home, they said, did you write anything?
Mm.
What happened to so-and-so,
Mm.
that character? And I said, I don't want to tell you what's happened to them.
Mm.
So, oh, but you can't leave us like that, and all this. So in the end, I had to read every day, and if I didn't get an intuition on that day, and I'd say nothing came today, they'd be so upset. They said, you can't keep people in suspense like that. They think I was doing it deliberately, but it wasn't deliberate. It was according to how I was being fed this information. So that's all I can say, and it came out how it came out.
Do you believe, since we're talking about don't judge a book by the author, do you believe your book was judged by the author, the cover or the title?
No, the cover came after the book was completed. If you remember rightly, I asked if you knew a fine artist, and you recommended one.
Marine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
It's her, that's her handiwork.
Oh, big up Marine.
Yeah.
Big up Marine.
And
yes.
I'll tell you something, that is only a photograph. She actually did it on a canvas, about this big, right? This wide and this high. Marine is a genius, complete genius. Anyway, by describing those two figures, the two main people in the book, because it's a story about just those two people, but in between there's family members, there's friends, there's associates and so forth, and that's how the book developed, yeah. But I had to describe what I wanted her to be, how I wanted her to be. And the guy's got to be, the man's got to be older, so much older than her. And where did I get that idea from? It was supposed to be a joke about mathematics. And the mathematics said, this man of 64 or whatever years old, he was 50 odd, and she was 24. And the whole idea was to see how many times 50 odd could go into 24. Did you get that?
I did.
Right. So it was supposed to be that naughty. So look at the cover. That's why I said Marion is definitely a genius. Because we never met, we just discussed things.
What was one of the most meaningful reviews you've got since writing this book? Yeah, since its release, whether it's a written review or verbal review.
There are other reviews, there are official reviews, because what you read from the back. If I may be able to read what's the new back look like. The interior and the front is all the same. The back cover is now from people like Ben TV, BBC Radio London, online
So you've got quotes
book
now
club.
on the
So
back.
I can look it up on Google and read that off in the end if you don't mind. Is that probable?
If time permits, definitely. It's just I'm thinking about, so where you're saying that the reviews can be found
On Amazon.
on Amazon.
Yeah.
On the new cover of the back of the book, those reviews.
No, well, you find what's the new back cover, you will find on all the platforms now.
Okay, so
This is the original one that you've got,
So the
which is now worth £1,000 each, by the way.
okay, wonderful.
Yeah, because there's only so many of these.
So the new copies have the reviews from Ben TV and the rest
Yeah.
of the back.
Yes,
So anyone who buys a new copy will see the reviews.
yes. They can actually ask to see the new copies or spin the thing
Cool.
and read it for themselves.
Cool.
So I think I'd leave it like that so that they can have to go and discover it rather than read it myself.
I'll read one or two of them, but for sure. Do you believe that black authors and yourself even, or authors, not even just black authors, but authors get, mainly black authors, a fair shot in the book industry?
No. I'm still waiting on They sent me £2.69 back in. This book was it came out 2014, and about 2015 I received a check for £2.69. I've still got it at home. I've never cashed it. Yeah, and then I phoned up and said, well, what's going on? Even if it's just sold one book, it's got to be worth more than this, because it's £18.95. You know, you can buy a Kindle, which is a cheaper amount. And they were saying, oh, you know, we got to pay this and pay that. Okay, just do your thing. You know, when I'm ready to sue you, it'll be enough time, so don't worry about it. And I'm going to sue them because they've not sent me another penny since 2015 to now.
Is that because you're black, do you reckon? Or is that just the poor
I
company?
think that, first of all, because I'm an unknown author, let me just be fair. Unknown authors get this kind of treatment, so I don't think they knew my colour or anything. You know, I wouldn't like to say that. I mean, I've been told them who I am in the end, but I don't think it started from there. I think that because there are millions and millions of books, you know, we first-time authors don't count. Yeah. That's what I think.
For sure.
And that's for any nationality.
There's a judgment on any nationality.
Right.
Because I do want to highlight that black people are not treated fairly in the industry, but I definitely want to highlight that it's not just the black issue in terms of getting your book.
No, it's not.
There's a game being played in terms
because I've done the research on it.
Yeah, well,
and I found that out.
But we just from even most things, but there's a game being played. If it's popularity that sells, even without research, and if you're popular, then they buy into that. It's not always quality.
Where I find the black thing though is the bookshops and the people who sell the books. Say the bookshops. I don't want to say which one it is, but I went there and I said, have you got my book? And they said, what's the title, blah, blah, blah. They said, oh yeah, we got it on computer, but we haven't got it in book form, you know. And they told me a reason that them and the publisher had some shebang long before I got there. Yeah. But because they don't see eye to eye.
It affected you.
It affected me.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, but I didn't do anything wrong and so forth. And the guy said, well, it's a hell of a book, he says. He says, I've read it. I said, wow, you've read it? He said, yeah. And I believe him. Because he could tell me things in the book that...
So was it you getting support from that shop or not? Were you saying, what was the...
Well, his thing was because they had a feud...
That he couldn't get the book in.
That anything that they publish, they don't sell the book.
I get you.
They only sell to order. So it would never be like you could go in their store and sort of thumb through fiction and say, what's this one? You know, you just have a look. No. So there's a disadvantage for new authors.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. But you're also still saying that black authors don't get a fair share.
I will say that yes, because of the bookstores now, they're supposed to be promoting the books they're selling. And if you got a brand new book and you have your person read it and they say, this is a hell of a book, it ought to be a film. Now they always say that.
I found that the book industries of I don't know, I can only refer to me and my experiences firsthand, but I find that they don't particularly like, if it's a black bookshop, cool, you could get a front window at a black bookshop because you're represented as one of their authors.
That's 100%.
Maybe considered their authors, maybe, but in the wider market of the bookshop industry, like, I don't want to say no names myself, but Hackney, my book sold out in so many bookshops where people phone and say, from these bookshops, your book's out of stock, you want to get your book in stock. But it's rarely in the window. And it's like they have what they want their shop to represent be in the window. So if you've got a book saying Prison to the Street or Mama Can't Raise No Man, we don't want that provocative type of titles.
But only if you're black.
Yeah, and that's how I
Yes, that's
how
real.
I feel. So I'm just sharing my feelings on it. I don't want to I'm not criticising the industry, I'm just letting people know. Even in the industry, if they're watching, it's like, get your act right in it, because this isn't fair. Give everyone a fair shot, and yeah, it's just not. I feel like there is, and if you're not going to give everyone a fair shot, we'll create our own shot. But I'm saying I feel like there is a imbalance in terms of what's being achieved.
In Europe, not so much in America.
And everyone says that.
Not so much in America.
Everyone says that.
But
Everyone
that's because the black authors has been around for a long, long time, even back in the 18 whatever.
If I had a pound coin for everyone saying to me, if your book went to America, it would have blown. I'm like, but didn't we blow here? They're like, no, but it would have blown. And being blown and celebrated, because you can be blown here and they keep it a secret.
Well, you know, that same thing goes for music.
Yeah,
I've experienced that
starts
as well.
in music first. I think.
Well,
for me, I know that more in the music.
Prejudice and segregation is a mental disorder, but they don't want to say it is. In their own psychiatric Bible, which is the statistical.
It sounds like a book title, by the way. I just thought I'd put that out there. Prejudice and mental health is a.
Yeah.
Prejudice.
What they call racism.
Yeah.
Racism is just a new word. The real word is classism. The classism is racialism. It's not racism because nobody's in any race with anybody. Yeah, we're not a race, we're a people. Yeah. But there are these prejudices that you have to look out for. But I was happy to work with this company because it said it was this and it said it was that. It sort of satisfied what I was looking for. But I didn't really understand fully what self-publishing was. The only thing that I was interested in is that nobody was going to change anything in my book without my permission. And that's what made me do it.
Yeah.
So we've been exploited.
Yeah, I see that a lot. But to go, I want to ask, basically, do you believe that black people care enough about their writers and they're enough supporting the community? But I've asked that question to a lot of people and I don't want it to sound mundane or that sound like a parrot. The truth is, I've had massive support from the black community in terms of, I'm not talking those who go like the sheep who are following for the hype. I'm talking about genuine, sincere people who've been there from the start, commenting on every picture.
But you mean you are talking about the people who read the book?
People that read the book, but also, I want to talk about the black community. So, rest in peace, Sean, Brown Eagle, Tottenham, Sonia, his wife, supported me through buying books at times, selling my book in their shop, which they bought, and not asking for any profit. That's good. And I have to let people hold on to that thought. This is the support that people claim black people don't support each other. But some,
I always use the word some.
No, I don't get that from you. I'm just talking about people who generalize and try to say we don't support each
other.
But
that's what I'm saying. I'm addressing what you're saying. I said some black people. I have a cousin in Canada. He always reminds me, he says, cause it's some, it's not all.
Yeah, but again, I said, no, you're addressing.
To be fair.
I'm going to readdress. I'm saying, I wasn't saying in reference to you, I'm saying that there's lots of people that say that black people don't support each other.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, that's not true. I'm a testament to Peppers and Spice supporting my book in those. People in the black community who have, for me, supported, even if they haven't even read it, even if they're not readers, but they support the idea of seeing how important it is, because there was a time it was against the law for us to read. So that's why I like to press on the fact of where we are now, the state of where we are now. It's not the greatest place in terms of encouraging people to read, but we're getting there. And that is even a reflection of me, because there was a time I never thought I would write or read, so we are getting there.
I suppose as well, I think we need to consider genre. I have two wonderful young ladies are young to me, but they're grown like yourself, you know, adult like yourself. And I offered them a copy each, and they said, no, we don't really want to read that. We prefer, like your book, Prisoner to the Streets, and anything to do like that. So we have to consider that as well. Genre is something that some people don't want, and some are educationally bound, and they say they don't want to read anything else but educational books. So I've had all of that. But like I said, it's about
It's about not judging the book by the author
by
or the
the
cover.
author.
And this is what I'm trying to tell people. So I'm trying to encourage people: don't go for what you think is good by a cover or a title.
No,
don't judge the book by its author. Go for a title that you can't, or a cover that doesn't impress you, that doesn't ring you in, and you may be surprised. That's basically what I'm trying to. So for me, I had a guest when I was speaking about the streets, and I asked him, does he feel like the streets affects, the street sale affects, the street book affects sales? Do you think that the street even sells it? And I think his answer was more leaning to no, and I'm like, I genuinely believe that it does. Some people, it's like films. They're violent for a reason because people buy into the violence in the film. It is what it is. But when you're putting something of context in the street book, you kind of take away what they expected to get.
Yes.
Because some people came for the violence and for the mix-up and for the drama, and then you gave them a message. But then they read a book.
I see a book as an operation of teaching.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hearing from you as well.
Well, it's an opportunity if you want to take it and use it, but some people don't want to take it and use it. So I understand where the interest in buying those books. So it's like crime. Some people are only reading crime novels and mysteries and all the rest of it. So cool, I get that. But
talking about young people today, whether they're be interested in books, and I was saying with the genre of the technological side of things, I believe the future for our books has to be animated. It has to be a digital status. It has to be.
That for children or for everyone really?
No, for the for the younger ones.
Yeah, just in general. I don't want to fixate everything on the youth of today, because I feel like the youth of today read more than us by force in school. So I think I'm focusing on just people in general. What can we do as our people?
Well, I think you have to divide it into the different segments, whether young people or in between that sort of status, because that's how I write now. I write for young people up to 12 years old, and then I write from 13 up to 21, because that's the genre that is the most difficult to please, to interest. The young ones up to 12, they'll always read something.
So how do you think we can collectively promote people to read and write more, is what I'm asking?
I think write more stories. You know, make it more story-like than anything else, because everybody loves a story. A child or an adult, you know what I'm saying? They get because I've done my Google thing, I've paid for that, and they've come out and said who will read it, and it's like from a child of 13 will read that book, and it goes right up to 34. And then from 35 up to about 50, and then from 50 onwards. So every possible age group will read that book. But I was thinking maybe 16, 17 might take that on. But no, it's 13, because they've done the research and they paid for that to be done.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to move on to your publishing game, because I know you said you had some issues with the publishing. I just want to ask one question around it. What were some of the pros and cons of having a publisher?
It was the work I didn't want to do. It's as simple as that. Because I actually watched you and how much work you had to put in. You know, you had to do leaflets, you had to go out there, you had to go to Carnival, you had to go to this area to establish that you're an author and this is what the book is, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you created the interest. Then you had to go, you had somebody who was looking after the printing and all of that stuff at one time, that manager woman, yeah? And then in the end you had to do it. And I don't really want to do that, seriously. By the time I'm doing all that's getting in my head is like, oh, it's too much for me.
Yeah.
You understand? And then when it will be reprinted, if you don't have it, suppose it's in great demand, you don't have the money to fund that. I couldn't do that.
I get you.
So I think they will do it anyway, and they'll charge me for it. Whatever I get is fine. It's not a problem. I'm just establishing my name out there that I'm an author. Because since this book, I used to just write adult books. Now I'm writing children's books as well. So it's given me a different status.
Do you think you could have done the book without a publisher? But you're saying you probably didn't because you prefer that they did all the running around for you.
I see myself as a creative person. I don't see myself as somebody who wants to task myself.
Yeah, with all of the ins and outs of that.
Yeah, no, that's not me.
And I'm with you because I think a creator should just have the room to be a creative. They shouldn't have to.
I'm just a creator.
They shouldn't have to do all the other work to get a platform to be
right, right.
Because that takes away from the creative.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you. But again, the book podcast is called "Have You Ever?" So don't judge a book by the author. So have you ever judged a book by the author, podcast or title? And if so, why? And did they surprise you after?
I didn't judge the book. I evaluated the book. That's what I did. I evaluated the wonderful artwork that presents the book. Many of them wanted me to change the cover and...
Not for your book.
Huh?
Have you ever judged another author?
Oh, no.
Book, title, or cover?
No. It's not my way.
So how do you look at a book and decide this is a book I want to pick up? And what tells you this isn't a book I want to pick up?
I am a person who... I don't know. I think everybody has this ability, but I don't know whether everybody is conscious of that ability. I can just see the title of a book, and if it doesn't intrigue me, don't want to read it. Simple. Don't want to read it. Because if it can't get my attention and get me like, oh, at least curious, then it's not the book for me. That's how I work. That's why I said I love the titles to your own books. It's fascinating. It's like, wow, how could anybody ever see these titles and not want to know what's inside of it? What's the content and the context?
I can see why you wouldn't want to know Mama Can't Raise No Man if you're going to judge a book by its over. I can see that.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I do see why.
If I'm not interested, and I use my children to come to that agreement, because one of my sons.
Sorry to cut you. Not so much on interest. It's about offence, because we're talking.
Yeah,
about
whether to read the book or not.
I feel like my book offended, if anything is the right word I'm looking for. So whether they was it.
I didn't think it offended. I think it told a story.
Some others who I personally know who have been offended by it because they sort of took it to heart that, oh, is he saying I can't raise a child? So again, there's a large proportion of people who missed out a message in that book. Even now today, who have their books in the bookshelf. Women I know who their partners have told me she won't read it.
Yeah.
So there could be an intrigue there. But still, because
but
of the
I bet you if it was a woman,
has any book offended you?
No, but I bet you any money, and I'm not betting, man. But just to use the phrase, if there's a female that wrote that, they would buy it.
Ooh.
I'm telling you that. That's how our people are.
Ooh.
We like to see the worst in our own people.
I still judge books myself, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So I believe, and when I feel like I'm doing it, I grab myself and say, why don't you want to read that book? It might even be of a person that I just don't like. And their attitude and their character and their ego and a whole bunch of it make me not want to read your book. Because if this is how you are in person, then what can you offer me? But then, I've met rappers who I think are great artists, and then in person I didn't like them. But I still listen to their music. So
that's the controversy of intrigue. It's intrigue that causes that.
No, it's not even the intrigue, because I was listening to you before I met you. So after meeting you, I can't now say, no, pretend to myself and say I don't like your music after I met you. If it was the other way round, I probably wouldn't have picked up your music. And that's what I'm saying, because we judge people by their character rather than their work. Sometimes it's hard to separate the artist.
To me, I look at the purpose for what made them do it. That to me is more important than my judgment, because my judgment knows nothing at all. Do you understand? It's just going by values and beliefs. You know, if that one walks like this, he's a this and he's a that. You know, so I know it's all filtered in, and this is what I'm saying about this Dr. Deep business. It goes beyond, and that's how I think. And I've been, you know, sort of criticized for many things that I say and how I present radio programs, and that, oh, it's too harsh, you should compromise. I said, I am not a compromiser. So it's either I'm going to leave or be allowed to do my stuff my way. I'm not breaking any rules, I'm not breaking any laws. But how can I talk about King Leopold of Belgium when he was chopping off children's hands and all of this stuff, and I don't say it? That wouldn't be me.
Do you think writing has affected your mental health in any way?
Affected it?
Positively or negatively?
Good question. Never thought about that before.
I never asked you that. You showed me how it's affected mine.
Yeah.
That's the irony.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has in some way. Yeah, because when I'm writing the sad bits in this book, yes, it did affect me. Now you've asked me that question, yeah, I can actually say, yeah, it did affect me.
Was you breaking down? And
I was actually visioning some experiences of the past that I'd witnessed as a child and felt helpless, but did say a lot, even though children were to be seen and not heard. Where a man actually took a Dutch pot, you know, it's made of lead, right? And he was so, they call him ignorant because he loses his temper, but ignorance is not that. Yeah. He hit his child with the Dutch pot.
I think you told me about
9-year-old child, and he just fell over and flattened like a bird, you know, who was dying. And that, tears run down my eyes when I was writing that kind of scenario. I'm not saying I wrote that particular one, but any scenario like that, it's like a memory.
Trigger. Come
back and it triggered, yes. So yes, you're absolutely right. But there were the other types of, the good side of it. There was no mediocre. There was either it was very, very sad. You know, let's say, the stepfather who raped his stepdaughter, you know. That really made me angry because I'd seen it as a child, and it's part of the culture. And I swear to you that it's only whomever we look up to, the universe, I say, that made me had to leave home and come abroad. Because you wouldn't have known me. You'd have heard about me though. Because I would have been very, very violent, man. Having seen all that I've seen, especially men, big old crafty men, writing songs about little girls and all of that. And today it's not just girls, it's boys as well. And people in big high places, so-called, that are scouring the ghetto, and you know, it just makes me so really angry. Like, no, I don't care if I don't have anybody else. I'm going to work something out and get rid of these people. But I can't get rid of all of them because there's so many of them.
Do you think writing about these things helps you deal with some of the things that you can't physically go and...
Yes, 100%. Now you've asked the question. I've never really thought about it. I've lived the sorrow and all of that, but I've never been asked about it. And I've never expounded to anybody that it happened. But now that you've asked the question, yes.
I'm glad that it does.
Very, very deep. Very, very deep. Even while I'm speaking to you about it now, as you can see, I'm getting a little bit angry myself because so much injustices. Yeah, I just say people can go on any platform. There's on so many different platforms, eBay, all of that stuff. But if they go to Amazon I'm sure they will see a few reviews there. They can read it for themselves. Yeah? And then look at the back of the book. They will find the official reviews. That's all I can say about that.
Dope. Well done again. The Taste of Champagne Edge available in all well-known bookstores and online.
Yes.
Kindle as well, right?
Yeah, Kindle all around. I made sure, I said to myself, it's got to be at least 10 pages per chapter. Some people might say, well, 3-4 pages. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Everybody's a writer. Everybody's a creator. We are born creators in whatever genre.
I think that's some very useful information for those people who want to become writers and want to write. Yeah, so thank you for that. I think that's very useful information. Where can the people find yourself, Mr. Lyndon?
Find me on Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, Messenger, LinkedIn.
Can we get all the individual name for these accounts so that people can find you? So where's the easiest way to find you?
Well, on Telegram you just find me as Lyndon Waters.
Yeah.
WhatsApp the same.
Yeah.
Messenger the same. Instagram.
WhatsApp, they have to have your phone number though.
Huh?
WhatsApp, they'll have to have your phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are 2 phone numbers for 2 different WhatsApp.
Okay.
Do you want me to quote them?
Or do you want to give out the numbers?
Sure.
Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, let's go.
So one is this.
You don't have to quote them. I'll put the numbers up. Yeah. So
Yeah?
they can have a number to contact you.
Yeah, and I want to give my email as well.
Okay, yeah, please could you give me
The email is THEBLKEXP research@gmail.com. And that means the Black Experience Research at. It's just the letters I'm using rather than the words. But that's what it means, the Black Experience Research @gmail.com.
Cool.
Everything for me is a research. Even I'm a research to me. So, yeah, write to me, please. Then you find out I'll do a lot of other things as well.
Anything else you want to say or ask before rounding it up? Yeah, about to round it up.
Well,
Thank you for coming in advance, and thank you for being a guest and blessing the platform with your creative creations. I'm really grateful to have you here. Yeah, and humbled as well, because I know this is what you do. So yeah.
I'm very inspired by you, Rob. You know, as a person and also as an author. As you know, you're probably tired to hear me say, but the truth is, I am. And to everyone that I've had anything to do with, and they've got up and said, yeah, this is really what I can do. Or maybe it's a test for me, but I'm going to have to do it. Test myself. If I don't like it, I won't do it again. You know, I'll see where I go. I like to do that. I like to encourage people, because sometimes it's the unknown that really launches us from within. See, the unknown. What am I capable of? Sometimes we don't know what we're capable of until we get up and say, you know what, damn. I use children's examples, like a baby. You've got children, right? You see your child can't even talk yet. You hold the baby and the baby's standing up. Don't want to be sit down, don't want to be hugged, just want to stand up and show, you know, I'm finding my feet. You put the baby down, the baby crawls around. And one day, baby holds onto something and stands up. It's all unknown. But they don't yet start to use the logical mind to say, can I do it or can't I? Putting that doubt in there. They just do it instinctively. Well, I say everything is instinctive. Creativity is instinctive. Just go for it with everything. I want to read your book. If I see it's a black author and I'm at least curious, I'll read the book. Apart from that, I wouldn't go out and just search for a book and say, you know, blah, 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 because it doesn't want to poison what's in my psyche. But thank you for the opportunity, Rob. This is a big opportunity for me. And it seems to fall just at the right time when other things are starting to bubble. You know, the pot start to bubble now. I say, I wonder what's cooking.
The alignment always connects itself. So yeah, grateful for you.
Thank you so much for
it's been
this.
a blessing to have you, man. And yeah, people, go and pick up the Taste of Champagne Urge. You've heard it here today first. Well, if you haven't heard it anywhere else, you've heard it today first. I don't know if you have heard it.
And if you love it, please leave me a review on whatever platform you're
For sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward again, Lynn, to having you next up on the show when you're releasing more work. So
yeah, the children's books for sure.
Whoever pays any attention to this show will be in tune to know what you've got coming next, and they won't need to be searching for you if they're paying attention to the show.
Well, I can tell them the next adult book
we'll have you coming in
is
regularly.
definitely Roles Reverse Matrix. The Roles Reverse Matrix.
And how long before we get you back in? How long do you think that'll be?
A couple of months.
We'll
I'll finish it off.
We'll see you just before the release of that.
Yeah. Once I've handed in the manuscript, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a date for it to be coming out.
Cool.
We can probably coincide with it.
100%.
Coming out. Yeah.
Blessings. Thank you again, Lynn.
Alright. Give thanks, man.
Respect, appreciate love. I know,
Yeah, man.
It's
All
real.
the time,
It's
bro,
real.
man. It's just pure love, you know?
Blessings, man.
It's just pure love, King. Pure love. You know what I'm saying?
What love, man. Blessings. People, we are out.
And when I've gone to do book fairs, and especially on the Beijing circuit, I've had people come over and say, "Look, I don't read, but I can support you. I can support you." So they would buy the book anyway and pass on to friends, and I just love that.
Yeah.
I think the highlight for last year was having a book signing event at the Barbados High Commission.